Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Neil, Eli, Adam Meakin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, welcome. I was concerned we might start without a panel, as there was almost nobody here in the G Plus panel just before we went live, but good to have everybody. It's good to be here, Nathan. We're so excited to prove it's flat and debunk the globe. I am too. I'm glad you're all excited.
Yeah, woohoo!
I'm stoked.
It's exciting. It is exciting.
Let's do this.
So, yeah, if you're not excited by the prospect of a fundamental change in your paradigm, then I don't know what's going to excite you. You know what I mean? That said, this is an educational show, so let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Now, I'll check if everyone's off mute while I'm doing this, but the purpose of housekeeping is to address fundamental premises of the globe model that don't jive with reality. So, on that basis, we'll say hello to Arwin first, and then we'll do a full stack of housekeeping questions, hopefully with a bit of interaction from Discord. We'll see how we get on. Hey, Arwin.
Hello, good afternoon. Is it as nice weather over there as it is here?
Yeah, it's just overclassed car wash weather. Okay, let's do some housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge, that would be a horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
Nope. Not at all.
I think you need R for that.
Nope. There's still plenty of mathematical models describing it. That's about it.
Yeah, descriptions of Earth curve, Arwin, models of Earth curve. There's an actual claim that the horizon is Earth curve, though. I mean, we all know it isn't, and I'd like that to be expressly stated.
Well, to have an Earth curve, you need R, and they don't have it. And this is also the same mistake that they keep moving forward with the sextant argument. I got a video I saw yesterday that was sent to me, and I said, Bob, science guy, or one of these guys that did it, I can't remember, and he's still taking the measurement from the center of the Earth. Well, if you're going to say you're on the surface of the Earth using the sextant, but you're really taking it from the center, you're going to need R for that first, not a presupposition.
Perfect. Anybody want to pipe in on Discord before we move on? Adam, go ahead.
I was just going to add, really, it's thanks to the flat earthers, we've come to the realization or read the description properly, where the horizon is the apparent position where the sky seems to meet the land. So with that understanding that it's not a physical place, that it's an optical effect, which is the diminishment of our vision. It's the point where we can no longer resolve things. And with that understanding, that destroys the simple fact that it is a physical place you can draw a tangent line to.
Precisely. In the globe model, it is a physical, geometric location that you can draw a tangent to measure drop and derive R values. In other words, it's the leading edge of a sphere that's supposed to block your view of things in the distance, and that's precisely what their calculations claim to infer when looking at optical imagery. Any more for any more?
Well, there was a bit last night on QEs. A word came up. I know you like new words, and it was a new one to me. Morosophy. I would suggest that the ballers have lots of morosophy.
Morosophy.
Morosophy. So Morosophy, and it's a hybrid of two Greek words. Words for moron and Sophia, which is moronic wisdom. So if somebody's can be absolutely know everything about a topic, but what they know about it is moronic, they're morosophic in their understanding. So they may have all the detail in the world, but their understanding is a fool's understanding of something. For example, thinking that the horizon is a physical leading edge.
Morosophic to what's the medicine where you dilute stuff down by orders of magnitude to increase its power? What's that called?
Homeopathy.
Homeopathy. So if you have an extensive knowledge of homeopathy, that would be morosophic knowledge.
Yeah. If you felt that, homeopathy, certainly how homeopathy is portrayed, then you could say that you had that the full knowledge, the full wisdom of homeopathy, but the actual practice itself would be moronic. But
okay, well, to take it further into the absurd then, if you had an extensive biological understanding to the point where you could do detailed graphic artwork of unicorn, what's the word? Anatomy, then that would be morosophic. Okay.
You knew it inside out, but the reality is that the knowledge itself is moronic.
So, just to bring a close to this, the understanding and wisdom of the sky vacuum standing in violation of second law of thermodynamics would be a morosophic understanding. Is the understanding bit redundant?
No, because you have full knowledge of all the detail of unicorn anatomy. Yeah. Any question you know about it, you know the answer. Anybody can pose a question, you've got the answer. You have full knowledge, but the topic is moronic.
Right. Heliocentrism isn't a moronic topic. I often give it credit for being a useful philosophical appreciation in model format of how the sky moves. So that has its useful application. But the reification of the heliocentric model into an actual world you stand upon, and the understanding of how you stand upon that non-existent world that doesn't exist, would be morosophic.
Yeah.
I would argue that it's almost I would argue that it's almost plagiarism, because from all of the quotes that I'm coming across, they basically say you pick up all of the data and you put it around the sun as opposed to around the earth, and it's exactly the same. That sounds like plagiarism on a grand scale to me.
Who are they plagiarizing?
Well, the coordinate system, it's not like there's nothing physically different. It's just a different way of looking at things.
Different between what and what?
It's exactly the same, and over a flat plane, the math was there first. All they did was just transfer that over to the belief in a heliocentric universe.
Well, it wasn't necessarily a transference, it was an insertion. So you take what is your understanding of these coordinate systems in this example, and then you just insert R. So it's not necessarily transposing or duplicating or replicating or plagiarizing, it's inserting. They're inserting R. Any evidence of the R value?
Black Swan.
Not at all.
Yes, whoever said that from Discord. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, and the distance to the horizon in the Black Swan is in excess of the geometric limitations of a sphere, Earth, radius 3959, therefore the Earth is not a sphere. Debunk the physical geometric sphere edge horizon as a geometric sphere edge horizon. You can no longer derive R values from it, you can no longer measure tangents to it. The entirety of the globe model hinges, figuratively and not even metaphorically if you talk about tangents, on you having a horizon that's physical. So without it, the globe model, that reification of the model into a reality you think you stand on, is dead. Sorry, whoever that was, go
Hello?
ahead. Eli.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Owen.
I was trying to talk in like the last 5 minutes and there was no sound coming through. Weird.
We hear you now with a lot of...
All right, I just wanted to say still about the morosophy. Isn't that like kind of malformed? Shouldn't it just be called sophists and sophistry, because they're specialized in something that's completely irrelevant, because it's not actually based on physical reality, while morosophy could be more regarded as to what we study, namely the nature, the real world nature of stupidity, right?
No. It's the line that you use. We even call them morosophus, wise fools. Yeah, so they know everything within the detail of the topic they're talking about. It's just the topic is moronic. It's clearly nonsensical. Yeah, so heliocentric model is a great example. There are certain things that instantly disprove it, but they will still carry on and have all of this knowledge and wisdom within that topic. It's
like an expert in the way the Star Trek Enterprise works.
But they don't understand their own discipline, though. They just apply it. They don't understand. They couldn't have a conversation about how they do what they do. We do that. They don't have Sophia. They don't have the knowledge. They just apply this because they're sophists.
No. Hold on. Sophistry is where you have good arguments or clever arguments, but you're employing them purely to be deceptive. So I would say that sophistry is the type of people that intentionally commit a lie. The type of people I ban are the sophists. So Rumpus could be described as a sophist or a sophist, depending on how you pronounce it. But he's got clever arguments, but their only intention, their only place in the argument is to deceive. That's their only point. So that's sophistry.
Exactly. Well, don't we consider Rumpus to be like the tip of the spear of the anti-flat earthers? So that's exactly what they do, and that's what the others try to do as well. They're just not as good as it at it.
No, not necessarily. So with Rumpus, I actually defined him or formally classified him as a globe defender in the true sense of the word. Yeah, he had all his ducks in a row and he knew how to use all of the interrogation tactics. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's an anti-flat earther, right up until the point that he started lying about positions he formerly held in respect to the geometric horizon, how it was physically obscuring parts of the Isle of Man, and how the geometry with tangents was utilised to claim that. Now, as soon as he started lying about that, he became an anti-flat earther. Now, he's obviously a fairly well-known character in the arena, so I've got to have a justifiable reason to say, no, I don't want you here anymore. And overt lies, where I can literally quote him, it's refracted because of its position with respect to the horizon, and then his pictures of geometry with tangent points, flies in the face of refracted horizons. As soon as you get to the point where he's no longer just double-speaking his way around it, we do see the geometric horizon, we do. That is only half a step away from just overtly lying about it. No, I never claimed we saw the geometric horizon. Oh, really? What about all these times that I can throw up debate after debate after debate after debate with your own maths that you've used, with your own tangent that you've drawn? That's just a lie. So at that point he becomes an anti-flat earther, but up until that point I would have actually classified him as a devout globe believer, maybe trying to join the priesthood or something. I don't know, he's trying to impress somebody with it, or he's employed to do so, or whatever his motive is, I don't care. but that wouldn't necessarily put him in anti-flat Earth until recently, Arwin.
Right, I agree with that. I'm not trying to discontort those types of designations. I just was having a bit of a problem with the Moronos of that thing, because it is still a sophist. Even when they fail, it's still sophistry. It's just really bad sophistry, and it only works for the most deluded, eager to believe numpties at that point, including himself.
Sure.
Right? But it's still effectively, the technical side of it is still sophistry, see?
Yeah, okay, I agree.
And
yeah, well, in the arena we're dealing with, yes, the parallels are always there, and by comparison to the examples we used earlier, it would be the person that's actually trying to convince you unicorns are real with his expertise in unicorn anatomy. Well, that would be your sophist, right? In other words, he's got really good biological arguments for why they're real.
Well,
Right.
according to the mainstream, someone who's a flat earther would be considered a morosopher.
Yeah, that's how
We
we're
are the
painted.
morosophers according to them. Yep.
Yeah, they don't want people to realise that they're under the misapprehension of being governed mentally in their worldview by a philosophy that's been reified. And anybody who challenge that, it's far easier to take the Hillary Clinton approach and just accuse your enemy of the very thing you're doing. Well, look at them. What else? That's why it's often positioned that we should be in the positive position in debate. We'll prove the Earth's flat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. People are building on it flat, people are navigating it flat, people are flying over it flat, it's considered flat, and yet that's suddenly taken as the extraordinary claim I need to prove in the positive, while you defend the standard begging the question position on the other side of the fence against flat Earth. It's like, no, the Earth is obviously, observably, measurably and navigatably flat, so that's not an outrageous claim to make. To say that there's people hanging off the bottom of my position antipode from where I am is absolutely the outrageous claim and needs to be the positive position asserted in debate. But it loses real fast, right? We all know that. So what's the best way to have it? We'll have it so that this is never the position that's being fought for in the positive, just assumed to be true, assumed to not be an extraordinary claim. Well, we all know it's obvious that we've got antipodal positioning with people below me in Australia. Obviously. It's not extraordinary to say that. It's like, yeah, it is. But I've got to defend the nature of everyone's existence when everyone wakes up in the morning, walks out and experiences a flat plane. And in no way or any inference at any time in their life do they ever get to say, yeah, I'm experiencing a curved surface beneath my feet. And when you look for it and don't see it, they'll tell you why you don't see it. But yet that's still got to be affirmed as the extraordinary claim. It's an absolute outrage. It's not extraordinary to say the Earth is flat, because it is. That's how we take in the world.
All right, I'll take it. I just looked up Morosoph, basically, and it says a learning fool. But if they're learning, that means they're still trying to put things together. Well, that would make anti-flat earthers not morosophists, because they know at that point they're lying and they're contradicting the original claims, etc. So they're deceiving. You can't be a morosophist and a liar at the same time.
No, a morosophist would, I think, believe wholeheartedly, empowered by the depth of knowledge that they have in the subject, that subject was true.
But then it would apply to ballers, not to anti-flat earth.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly correct. So it'd apply to ballers, but you can't have a I can't say the word. What's the word again?
Morosophist.
A morosophist sophist doesn't exist because it's an oxymoron. Because one actually believes that you're stating the truth when you talk about unicorn anatomy or heliocentrism in this example. And the person who's a sophist is actually going out of their way to deceive you.
Is it morosophist or morosopher?
Morosopher. Could both be. But it's a good
I love a new word.
contrast.
Excellent, Adam. Kudos.
Well, shout out to Betty. She claims it's a Dutch word. Her and John were arguing whether. But yeah, I'd never heard of it before as well. But its applicableness has 2 shows now. But it does seem to fit very well. I said also, it has an end times feel to it to me. Foolish wise ones is the description towards the end, isn't it? Their wives will be foolish and converse as well. So, yeah, I'll see how many times I can crowbar it into a sentence now. Morosophy.
See how many people ask you when they don't know what it is, or just brush past it like they do. Cool. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, the stars are spinning above us. That could be an
That's the
indication that the Earth is spinning.
Axial rotation. Spinning about an axis.
Yeah, you're going to need the R for that.
It's a 0 divided by 1 amount of reference frames.
You're going to need at least one of the 5 senses to pick that up, and none of it works.
You're going to need at least one of the 5 senses to notice. Yeah, I'd agree with that. You'd notice. If we were spinning and stuff, we'd definitely notice that.
But as a matter of fact, I'll put the power of all 5 of my senses.
Yeah, but Eli,
right now, I'll listen real hard. I'll sniff it. I might put my tongue to it. I'll feel it. You know, I'll look at it. Everything that I need to do to involve all 5 senses. But maybe a little 6th sense action. I still don't detect any movement whatsoever.
Right, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it right now. This is not a dating site.
but the morosopher has 7 senses, so that's how they know.
If we use just the sense that we have of vision, what does that sense tell us? It tells us that the stars are moving above us. So we've got one sense telling us that it's not us, and we can see and observe that it's them that's moving. So why would we ignore that sense?
Well, the Einstein reason is because you wouldn't be able to tell a difference if it wasn't you moving versus if it was. I mean, they'd basically give you the same effect with those star movements. That's his argument.
And why would you use your senses today when we have ring laser gyros?
Well, ring laser gyros are interesting because I use them in the positive as a hostile witness for anti-flat earthers who try and deny that which we don't actually observe. So the ring laser gyroscope is claimed to show the effect of Coriolis deflection to the tune of 15 degrees an hour as Earth rotates under the fixed frame of the fibre optic or ring laser gyroscopes. Well, if the Earth's rotating underneath a fibre optic or ring laser gyroscope at 15 degrees an hour, that's a Coriolis deflection. That means Earth's rotating underneath as a non-inertial spinning reference frame to cause this not actual deflection in the gyro. So the cage is moving around the fixed frame because Earth's turning beneath it. Well, if that is the case, then Earth's turning beneath footballs, bullets, heavy artillery fire, aeroplanes, helicopters, drones, you if you jump up and down, and you'd notice that. So to assert that Earth's turning underneath here, you can see it in a gyro, you're like, well, we'd see that in flight times being reduced. Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles would only take about an hour and a half if Earth was turning underneath it for us to observe the globe's claim of deflection from the ground in the aeroplane as we turn beneath it. So to summarise, Earth is claimed to show this drift that the gyro is supposed to be affirming, but that drift is supposed to be observed as things that are above you, like aeroplanes, take a curved path because you turn beneath them. So the claim is, you're turning beneath aeroplanes. Earth turns beneath aeroplanes, you say? No, because that would shorten flight times, and it doesn't. Shout out to Retro Bill, who says, fact of the day, one of the suburbs of St. Louis is called Baldwin, Missouri. Thank you very much for the super chat. Your Baldwin's really grateful to know that. No comment from Arwin, I'm afraid, Retro Bill. Thank you for the super chat all the same. So, axial rotation. Anybody at all? Should we move on?
No axial rotation.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there.
Oh, you're back for that?
I just got back. Doing my laundry.
Okay, don't tell him.
You're gonna need a radius for that.
Hey, housekeeping, you know.
Yeah,
Reminded me.
housekeeping. Any evidence of the distance to the sun? It's over there. Isn't really a distance.
Yes,
How can
it
you
is.
even
It's
find out
3
what it
AU.
is?
Hold
It's
on.
3
Owen's-
AU away.
Owen wants to derive his AU value from the original AU value and times it by 3. Go ahead, Arwin.
Well, the 3 is just the kind of divided up virtually because it's just an apparent distance away, right? So it is 3 1/3 apparent distances away.
I can confirm
They're
that
done.
maths is correct. An Arwinian unit is 1/3 of an astronomical unit.
Very confusing to me
So it must
because,
be true.
well, there's other Arwinian units in circulation. You know, one Arwinian unit is simultaneously, and you can't disagree or contest this in any way either. It just happens to be the amount of hay unicorns eat in Narnia. Now, that Arwinian unit, when it's described as a distance to the sun, 3 of them for hours in a heliocentric model derivation, it's confusing to me. You know, because there's also simultaneously, like I say, Arwinian units of hay, one thereof will feed a unicorn for 1 day. Well, you know.
Well, only if those unicorns are actually apparent distances away and not actual, because that's what it's really about. It's about giving a unit of measure of an apparent non-actual, non-Euclidean distance, which is a concept, by the way.
Now I know why you fought against the word morosophy so heartily.
You just don't understand, 10th.
Yeah, you don't understand. There's a lot of unicorn experts out there, Tenth, just because you're not one of them.
Well, Adams asked the question, how can we know what the sun is, right? And we all know the globe claim because they cling on to the spectroscopy claim that we've identified helium, helios. That's how we get helios, through spectroscopy of the sun's rays.
Yeah,
So
they're
that's
gonna
how we
need-
know, Adam.
Yeah, we're going to need R for that.
Yeah, as soon as you're going to suggest some actual distance, you will need R. That's why I made the Arwinian units, so you don't necessarily need them. You're not going to be presented with any actual useful information, but at least you can define a conception, right?
Check it out. Arwen adds an extra sandwich layer and says that you don't need R because of it. What an outrage. It's derived from heliocentric AU.
No.
You're going to need R to have the Arwinian
it's not
unit
the-
anyway.
Arwen
No,
knows
it's
it.
not that
Rumpusing
AU.
begins. Check it out.
It's a Arwinian unit. It's a measurement of apparent distance, right?
See, it's apparently apparently it's this far from here to the sun, right? But that's 3 AUs. Now,
Right.
they
Well,
are the same distance, an AU and an Arwinian unit, but there's no definition to an Arwinian unit, but it is equivalent to 3. 3 of them are equivalent to 1 astronomical.
No. The distance. Oh wait, is that the astronomical unit?
Yeah.
Is that the supposed actual distance to the sun?
One apparent astronomical unit. They're equivalent.
Yeah, but that's cheating. No, it is only an apparent distance unit. So you could say, okay, 3 is arbitrary, decided it's 3 Arwinian units away from the sun, the apparent distance to that. And let's just say it's 1 Arwinian unit away to a rainbow, right? That's another apparent distance.
I'll let him have
That's
it.
a bold claim.
Fine.
That
You can have
means
it.
the sun's 3 times further than a rainbow.
That's correct.
Apparently so.
Apparently. No, let's get this clear, just for summary's sake. 1 Arwinian unit is the distance to a rainbow. 3 Arwinian units is the distance to the sun. Am I correct, Arwin?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. Glad we all got that
Or
clear.
at least it
What
appears
was that word again,
way.
Adam? Morosophacy?
Yeah, totally morosophic, isn't it? The knowledge and detail. The detail would require Arwin to believe it because foundationally the quality and detail he provides means he believes it.
Let's establish if
Believe
this
what?
is sophistry or morosophy.
We're talking about apparent distances. I make no claims about actual distances. This is just like the conclusion. Like, yeah, it appears to be at a distance, but it's not actually at a distance because it doesn't have any Euclidean position. So how do we deal with it? Well, we define apparent distances, right? Just like the Coriolis force is not actually a force. Well, they still made the definition for it, right?
Okay, but just so we're clear, Arwinian units have now changed their definition, because formerly they were derived from standard AU, and you know it. But now we've got a redefinition, or a redefining, there we go, of an AU Arwinian unit. That would be to say that it formerly was derived from heliocentric rhetoric, needing R, but now it's not. Now it's derived from rainbows. So there you go. Happy days.
No, you're incorrect though, because it wasn't based on the astronomical unit. It was inspired by the astronomical unit.
Whatever. Just weasel. See, that's the difference between being a liar and being a scummy weaselly weasel, right? That sentence is intellectual dishonesty as opposed to outright lying. It's the, we do have a geometric horizon. Well, we don't have a geometric. Well, we do have it. That is weaselly scummy. That's what Arwin's doing, right? Not lying, but not far off.
What?
You're saying it was inspired by the R-based heliocentric unit? Well, I've not got a short memory, Arwin. I'm very good at remembering what people have said about specific things. In this instance, where AU, Arwin... I can't believe I'm getting annoyed about this.
Well, originally the AU was brought up on the table for lack of better approach. And then I just out of nowhere, I was inspired. I didn't say I was inspired, but I was. And I said, no, it's Arwinian units. So I defined it. I conjured up this new way of measuring an apparent distance out of nothing, right? It was never based on the actual astronomical unit. It just sounds the exact same way because it's also AU.
Yeah, it was. Do you need me to go back and dig out the episode where you specifically say that? Don't sigh like you know, like you think you know what's going on, or you're going to obfuscate away from it.
Now, you might be, I might have said it, but that would have been a mistake. I apologize.
Yeah, you see what I mean, right? For anyone watching that goes, you get angry with these people. I was just playing too much to character at the moment, right? When you people out there say you get too angry, it's like, no, when you're dealing with people of this nature, Arwin knows he's playing along, but I was doing brilliantly not to laugh, to be fair. But I know what's going on. And when somebody who's not Arwin does this and just overtly lies about something potentially they've said 25 seconds ago. Now, if you as a human can tolerate that to the point where it doesn't frustrate you, then you are a saint. So just, you know, for those of you who are like, yeah, this would be better served if you didn't get so aggressive with them. It's like, you have a go. See how you get on when they overtly lie to you.
Right, if you don't, they'll just walk right over you.
Cast doubt. You know, when they've overtly lied to you about something that you thought you got pegged, potentially even got a concession for, and then even 30 seconds later they're like, no, that wasn't a concession. No, I'm still going to hold true to the thing you just thought you defeated. And suddenly you're into, what? Questioning whether or not you've actually achieved what you've just achieved. But that's how their tactics have to be employed. You wouldn't need any of that if the Earth was a sphere. You'd just be like, yeah, obviously, here's the curve. There you go. There's it being measured. You know, that's how it'd be. It would be like, it really is stupid to assume that it isn't because you just measure it. Everyone knows it because everyone has to deal with it. Nobody has to deal with it, so they excuse away why you don't have to deal with it, but yet it's expected to be understood and tolerated that that is the case. It's like, no, it's definitely back to what I said earlier. It's an outrageous claim to say we're standing on a sphere. It really is. It makes me smile so much to know how well that programming has sunk into the masses, because they're completely and blissfully unaware of that fact, that it is delightfully humorous to some people to even consider someone in Australia for me in the UK to be antipodal from my position. It's so beyond batshit insane that it makes me smile. But for most people, that is just, well, no, obviously we already know that is the case. It's like, you don't appreciate it as an outrageous claim to make. No, well, because I understood it from day one when I was told anything by anybody ever. So therefore it must be true. Few shout-outs to Retro Bill, who says, Arwin, fact of the day, #2. Arwin Records was an American label that operated in the late 1950s to the mid-1960s. Well, what would you know, Retro Bill? I would definitely think that's worth giving me $5 for. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Also, Godzilla37, he says, here's my Arwinian units to help reify the apparent unicorn into a real rainbow. Units well spent, I think. Thank you very much indeed. I like the on-topic super chats. Really good. Thank you very much, Godzilla, and thank you very much, Retro Bill.
Did you catch the first one, Owen, or did you miss that first ball?
No. I got it. Yeah. I responded in chat. Now Retro Bill says in regular chat, I missed the fact there is a county in Missouri called Baldwin. God.
I noticed in your chat today that they'd started another one, a Darwinian, spelt with a W, IJN.
Yeah, and not forgetting the ever popular Aristarquin.
Oh God. I just white noised that all away. Please don't bring it back.
There was a time when Owen was getting trolled by this one guy. I'm sure you'll name the name you'll remember, but probably won't want to utter. And after the fact they made up, it was all right, and I'm sure they went off into the cloudy Neverlands, skipping together, holding hands afterwards. Anyway, at the time that they weren't friends, the guy just kept coming back with more and more socks that had various Win names attached. So they became known fondly as the Wins. Oh, we've got the Wins in. Because it would be Aristarquin, Sockwin, and so on and so forth. And I thought it was quite amusing. I think the guy's name was Jason. Is it Jason McCormack?
Yeah. No, we're all right. He's even allowed back in my chat as long as he doesn't use the specific symbol. And then I'm fine. But yeah, I haven't seen the wind socks in a while. To be fair, I understand how that is funny. It's just that for me, it wasn't. I couldn't really. It was just really annoying. Sure. Also because everybody thought it was funny, right? I get it.
It is funny, but you should just take it as what it is, exceptionally flattering. Somebody's out there.
Yeah.
And you're what they're holding high as a... Not as a point of ridicule, really, because if you think of it, what is he doing? He's crediting you with stuff. Rage Win was a great one. You know what I mean? It's very flattering to me, Owen. I would take it as. I wouldn't take it as an insult. You're out there. That shows you're making a mark as a YouTuber. There's somebody out there spending part of his day and great intellectual effort to come up with these things to get your attention, my friend.
They're still doing it out there, but not this guy, no more windsocks. It's just that at the time, if it would have happened right now, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, sure. But back then I was still like very nervous about YouTube and even Flat Earth. And I don't know, I've had like a tough time right in that period, and I just couldn't really enjoy it. I just kind of wanted to be left alone. Now, if it would have not happened back then, but it would happen now, I wouldn't really mind that much. But back then, it was really just like a tick. Wouldn't get off to me.
It's a fan.
The fact that it bothers you sort of makes it a little bit more funny, actually.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But that's what bullies get off on. So essentially, the fact that everyone around you finds it funny and you don't, it's like the bully's way of sticking it between your ribs, because there's nobody that you can turn to that's going to say, yeah, he's a prick, isn't he? You should really leave you alone. He's bullying you. They're going to say, oh, come on, it's really funny. You're just being a... And suddenly the people around you are bloody bullying you as well. Well, that's totally unreasonable. And in this instance, that's the purpose for this particular dude. But Adam's still right. The guy's a fan. He wants to be on your side. He's trying to get your attention. Now, that's a tightrope. It's a bit like love and hate. You can fall off the other side and suddenly become a stalker, or you can fall off the opposite side and suddenly become someone's best mate and ally. when you started off trolling them. But that's for a different topic, because it's along the lines of fandom, if you will, people who want to be watching you or associated with you or whatever. Well, I was in a chat the other day, I think it was Bev's chat, with Shills versus Shills. Now, he can't be seen on my chat, and I did actually go to some effort, which I did discuss in the pre-show, to try and figure out why that is, and whether or not I've made any inroads in that, I don't know, on my Google support box. Is this problem resolved? No. But anyway, I did go to some efforts to sort out an issue with this guy that he had in terms of my live stream chat. Nonetheless, he was telling me about something that, I forget who he was talking about. It was either Katz or Ranty or Dan or one of those people. And I said to him, oh, so you're let's say it was Ranty. You're a Ranty fan? He was like, what do you mean I'm a Ranty fan? No, I'm not. Got quite, bullshit with me, if you know what bullshit means. Didn't like what I was saying. What do you mean I'm a fan? I was like, well, you watch him. That doesn't mean I'm a fan. Although I didn't type this. I said, no, I just mean you watch him. That was my reply to him. But I did mean the word I used. Because if you're watching somebody and you hate them, then you love to hate them because you're watching them. That makes you a fan. No, don't care if you want to say, well, no, I'm just gathering up what they're doing wrong. It's like, why? If you don't like them, the best thing you can do is remove them from your life. If this is a subscription circumstance, just unsubscribe. It's really easy. And then if they get thrown up in your homepage, just don't watch them. Just don't waste your time with them. It's really easy.
When you don't like something.
Right. Talking about which, I'm back to 1992 subscribers, so it happened again.
So you lost 8 subscribers?
Yeah.
Oh, that happens whenever you get near a big figure. So there's going to be a load of dicks that will subscribe when you're, 100 off getting to a decent number. And then the moment you hit it, they'll just unsubscribe just so they can sit and snigger. Ha ha ha! Did you celebrate about having 2,000? Ha ha ha! It's just dick behaviour. Now, again, that particular bit, I've got so used to it happening that it really just think, okay, well, in 2 or 3 days, when that dip resolves itself with the natural growth of the channel, you'll just get those 8 subscribers back in whatever period you'd have grown naturally anyway. It's like, there'll have been a spurt of growth at some point that you were like happy about, that was just those same dick trolls that just wanted to unsubscribe the moment you hit a decent number.
Yeah, that's what I suspected. But
Notice
it
we're
might
in the
take
middle
like
of
a
the live show
month before I get there again.
Talking about YouTube and admin and stuff. This is terrible. My
I'm
God,
sorry.
the standards of
Let's get
Slit.
back to the Arwinian units again.
Oh, that's why. This is definitely a step up from that. Talking about subscribers and stuff. Anyway, back to my point about Shills versus Shills, was that, if you're watching somebody, you're a fan. It doesn't matter if you're a Globe believer who absolutely hates my guts. If you're sat watching me, you're a fan of mine. I love it. I shout out to all my fans. Hey, Alwyn, do you want to shout out your fans?
Yeah, I still got a lot of fans.
For years, I could not stand Muhammad Ali. And then I realized when he lost, I actually felt bad. So I guess you're right. I was actually an Ali fan. But I could have sworn I hated him for all those years.
Exactly.
But you were invested, weren't you? You had an investment in whether he won or he lost. So it might be a perverse fan, but you're still interested, aren't you? You're still subscribed to Ali or all these trolls. They're still subscribed to Arwin.
Right.
The weird thing was, I used to root for him and watch it to see him get a beating because he had such a big mouth. And then when he lost, I was kind of sad. I rooted for him in the rematch.
Yeah, of course. There's certain people that chased Patricia Steer out of this arena, and the moment she was gone, they were gutted. Because what did they have to moan about? And suddenly they had to stand back and reflect on the fact that, well, actually, I spent quite a considerable amount of time watching that material, moaning about it, and slagging her off to the point where she buggered off, bullying her, basically. Well, in that instance, you think, yeah, did you actually do yourself any favours? And in the case of anti-flat earthers, right, the delusional idiots that think they're globe believers, There is a very much symbiotic relationship between us and them. Now, it'd be nice if we were on the receiving end of the promotion they receive. Obviously, as a purely fiscal outlook, I'd be like, yeah, I'll be much better off if I got lots of YouTube promotion right now. Now, that's not going to mean I'm going to change sides for reasons of a financial benefit, because that would be immoral as far as I'm concerned. I couldn't live with myself. You know, that wouldn't make me happy in the slightest, even the extra ka-ching that comes with being an anti-flat earther. You know, they've got a nice big circle around their name in YouTube algorithmic terms at the moment. But don't kid yourselves if you are one of those anti-flat earthers. Number one, you are our leeches. Yeah, you are parasites to us. Now, you might think that you're actually at the top of that hill with all the absent-minded, globe-believing, delusional, and blissfully ignorant of it globe believers, because you're never going to be that again. That is completely out of your reach. Which means you do sit in this parasitic subcategory that requires us to be here for you to have any relevance whatsoever. Now, I understand that symbiosis. Do I care? No. But it means that I can be completely passive in that regard. Completely reactionary. I don't have to do anything proactive whatsoever for the parasites to come looking for me. Well, just sit here. I don't have to do anything, right? I love it. Because I'm the happy one on the end of this particular symbiotic relationship. You know, I can just flick the slugs off me, or whatever you'd call them, leeches. Yeah? But the leeches, they want to slime their way on their belly back towards me every time. It doesn't matter how abusive I am, if people want to be critical of that as they are at the moment. It's like, yeah, well, they're here by choice. Same goes for the panel. Nobody's any obligation whatsoever to me. None.
Did you know that leeches actually introduce slight amounts of natural aspirin in your blood? That it did have medical applications?
Leeches were used in medicine for years.
Yeah.
It's an anti-clotting agent, so that the blood doesn't clot while they're feeding, so it just stops the clotting cascade.
I just had a fan in the chat, Tim Osman.
Yeah, it was quite interesting that we were saying that, and then the comments that were put. I mean, it just shows you, see, fanboys calling you a soy boy, wants your attention, wants Nathan's attention, and projects. Arwin still sucks his thumb. You know.
Yeah, man, on my everyday show for almost 3 years.
Hey, yeah. Look at me, Arwin. Recognize me, Arwin.
Where's your geometric horizon, Tim Osman? The one that doesn't exist yet with your perfect drone footage. It was right there, and you made a claim about it after you disclaimed it existed. How about that?
Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve. End quote, Tim Osman. Right at the end of yesterday's Quantum Racer live show, Quantum Racer made a really good point that sometimes gets forgotten about here because it never gets covered, or rarely gets covered. And that's to say that what's the actual globe claim got, you know, in its arsenal? What have they really got? They've got claim pictures from a second law of thermodynamics violation. That's what they've really got, isn't it? And I think the reason we very rarely talk about it here is because it's like, I don't want to say protected, but it's like so fragile and so big and prominent that it's best that it's not sort of got arguments and fights around it. You know, best if that particular subject doesn't come up too often places like this. Best to keep it out in the arena where you can talk about, I don't know, the idea of it still being real, the idea of there being maybe moon landings, arguing about, like they did in the 80s, about the shadows. It's like all of those arguments still contain the idea that you can go to the moon and that there's a space and a sky vacuum, and all of that stuff still exists in the argument. But that's all they've got.
What, you mean arguing about the wardrobe? Arguing about time dilation as you go through it, as opposed to the reality that wardrobes don't transport you anywhere.
Well, how do shoes work?
The Spider-Man movie has that.
well, how do shoes work in the wardrobe, right? They're not living. And, you know, as you walk through and there's time dilation, does the leather age at a different rate? You could argue about this, you and I, Adam, for at least an hour, right? And at the end of it, we could come to a conclusion. One of us could win, one of us could lose. And we could decide that actually shoe leather's not affected by time dilation as you move through the wardrobe. And that could be a conclusion we drew. And at the end, everyone goes home, they get the curtains close, people come and sweep up, and everyone leaves the theatres going, yeah, so we live in Narnia then. But now that we are all clear that we live in Narnia, and we know that the shoe leather doesn't age as you go through it, we're all cool, right? And everyone goes, yeah. That's what we're in. Let's argue about whether rockets work in space. Do they work? Let's show a rocket working in a vacuum. Let's argue about the fact that the vacuum chamber is filled with gas that the rocket can now push off. Let's argue all day about this. Let's ignore the fact, as we do so, that if the sky was a vacuum, we'd all be dead. We wouldn't be having this conversation if the sky was a vacuum because the gas would fill it. It would have never achieved gas pressure in the first place. Go ahead, whoever that was.
No, you can't do that topic because that's the one you have to stay away from. Much safer to discuss things like you're saying, or whether or not a photographic film would work in the vacuum of space. Much better, because the outcome of that argument, it doesn't really matter, because there's always the pre-argument acceptance of the presupposition of the vacuum of space being something that we can transverse. Whilst ever that's your point of argument, because if you're arguing about, like, say, the state of leather in Narnia, you're accepting that you can go through the wardrobe to get to Narnia.
Indeed.
So either side, the paradigm is maintained, isn't it?
Exactly. It's a useful argument to have because win, lose or draw, the fundamental premise that needs to be maintained is that the sky is a vacuum, that we've got an outer space, that is the nature of the heliocentric model, in essence, right? We're moving around the sun in a vacuum. We're traversing it in a presuppositional orbit, it being a vacuum. So long as you're arguing about whether or not the moon had a flag on it that waved in the wind or not, you're not paying attention to the fact that between here and the moon there's nothing containing the gas, so we'd never achieve gas pressure. So the whole story of travelling to that light we call the moon is absolutely absurd because it involves a rocket moving out into an area that the gas we're breathing could fill and would fill by way of natural law and an entropy increase.
But they're doing it now, aren't they? It's in the mainstream now, Nathan. There's I don't think we'll be able to go to the moon in 2024 as predicted because, and we're going to have to Elon Musk to help NASA because we're having problems with the spacesuits. I don't think we're going to be able to get them ready. And there's this argument that it's, oh my God. And the argument is based in the possibility that you can go to the moon with a spacesuit to travel through a vacuum. But they're arguing about, oh, wow, why have you lost the technology? Yeah. Why can't you just open up the museum? It's in the case. But the argument isn't about whether or not you can have a vacuum next to pressurized gas with no containment. It's arguing about why we've suddenly lost the technology to be able to have spacesuits and how we need to use private industry to help supplement NASA. So the argument is win-win for the paradigm.
Exactly. And saying, oh, well, you saying as a fallacy that they can calculate the amount of fuel they use to travel to the moon, therefore Neil deGrasse Tyson's assertion that faking it wouldn't be a possibility. You're like, that's absurd and a fallacy to say just because you've got a calculation for how much it would take to get to the moon doesn't mean you actually went. But let's again ignore the fact that you can't travel out into a region that's a vacuum. Because if you, in a rocket, can travel out there, so can gas that expands in all directions, precisely as we're breathing, at high pressure. If you can go to the moon, so can the gas. And if the area is an area that the gas can fill, that's what gas will do. So we would all be dead if any of this story and narrative was true. But let's worry about how much fuel's been calculated to travel to somewhere that isn't real. Let's worry about how much shoe leather gets worn as you walk through the wardrobe. Yeah? Well, we calculated it, and they hardly wore any of the leather off the bottom of their shoes walking through the wardrobe. We can calculate how much shoe leather was worn. You can't not have a travel destination through a wardrobe if you can calculate how much shoe leather's been worn. I mean, that's how accurate we can get this. It's absurd.
Well, it all goes back to begging the question. That's the only way they can start anything.
I have a quote on begging the question, but it probably should have been done with axial rotation or movement of the Earth.
Well, then, any evidence of axial rotation, Eli?
No, in fact, I mean, all they're going to do is beg the question right here from John Martin on cosmoquest.org forum, begging the question regarding the Michelson-Morley experiment. So, how to commit a fallacy of begging the question when a conclusion to be demonstrated is assumed into a premise. Number one, an experiment is set up to demonstrate the motion of the Earth through space. 2, a positive result is expected from theory or hypothesis. 3, the experiment produces a null result. 4, the null result has a cause. 5, the cause of the null result is not a stationary Earth because the Earth is moving. 6, the cause of the null result is a moving Earth. Number 7, therefore, an experiment on the moving Earth has demonstrated that C is constant in any inertial reference frame. 8, therefore, C is constant in all reference frames. Line 8 implies a moving Earth is part of the conclusion, yet line 5 merely asserts the Earth is moving. To conclude to line 8, therefore, the constancy of C is invalid according to the fallacy of begging the question. The only way science can conclude to one of special relativity's postulates is to beg the question on the motion of the Earth as shown above. The constancy of C in any inertial reference frame is known from a logical fallacy, as explained above.
Correct, and the logical fallacy is to assume a rotational rate based on an R value. So in order to acquire the assumption of a rotation value, you first have an R value, and that's how it all begins. It always does.
Well, this one's even worse. This is if light path is different. Yeah. Well, this is not science, is it? Because listen to what they were saying. The variable was Earth rotation. But go vary that.
Indeed.
Good point.
Skeptic936 says, can't make accurate calculations for moon travel without R. Yeah, it's an orbital value. Thanks for the super chat, Skeptic936. They need R for basically everything. Did we mention that we debunked R?
It's the basis of the fabric of the heliocentric world.
Yeah. R is fundamental to everything heliocentric. That's correct.
The only R
it's
that
fundamental
exists
to building the whole world.
Yeah, as a sphere.
The only R's that exist are mentally held back people, and well, the distance between the center of a circle, from the inside of the circle to the extent of that circle. Those are the only 2 R's that we've ever really discussed.
Yeah, the radius of a circle, if you're measuring an area of equal altitude versus the presupposed radius to the centre of a spherical Earth that people have reified from philosophy into their world they believe they're standing on. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smash the super chat and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on a Premiering stream, and I will see you all in the next video.
what a day! What a lovely day!